Welcome back. Thank you so much for still being with us on Parliamentary Television. Today, Friday, 5th July 2024, we go straight into looking at business that is expected to be considered on the floor of the House. We expect announcements if there will be any. We also expect However the Vice President to give a business statement for the period 9th to 19th July 2024.
After that business statement, the House is expected to consider urgent matters without notice, if there will be any, and I'm sure all of you are glued to television because it is a Friday, and we expect to have Honor the Vice President's question time. This is the 45 minutes allocated to Honor the Vice President to respond to various questions. These are questions that are based on policy, and some of the questions emanate from various constituencies that are dotted in all the corners of this country.
We also expect the Minister of Energy, Honorable Peter Kapala, to deliver a statement on the alleged inclusion of health facilities on the load management schedule.
And after the consideration of that ministerial statement, we expect the Minister of Finance, and this is Dr. Stumbeko Musokotwane, MP, who is also Liua Member of Parliament, to move a motion that the House do resolve into Committee of Supply to consider Supplementary Estimates number 1 of 2024. As you can see on the screen, that's the Sergeant at Arms leading the First Deputy Speaker, which means that business is about to commence.
Honorable Members of Parliament, Madam Speaker.
Yeah.
And the King of Zambia, proud and free, land of great and joy in unity, victors in the struggle for our right. We want freedom's fight, oh, and strong and free. Africa is our own motherland, fashioned with and blessed by those who blend. Let us all our people join as one, brothers under the sun, oh, one, strong and free. One land and one nation is our cry. Dignity and peace in Zambia's sky, like a noble eagle in its flight. Zambia, praise to thee, oh, one, strong and free. Praise be to God, praise be, bless our great Zambia, green and we stand under the flag of our land. Zambia, praise to thee, oh, one, strong and free.
Prayer. Almighty God, who in your infinite wisdom and providential goodness has appointed the offices of leaders and parliaments for the welfare of society and the just government of the people. We beseech you to consider with your abundant favor us, your servants, whom you've been pleased to call to the performance of such important responsibilities in this land. Let your blessing descend upon us here in Parliament assembled, and grant that we may, as in your presence, treat and consider all matters that shall come under our deliberation in so just and faithful a manner as to promote your honor and glory and to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of our country and of those whose interests you've committed to our charge. Amen. Honorable members, I have an announcement to make. Honorable members, I wish to acquaint the House with the presence in the Speaker's Gallery of the following honorable members of the Shadow Cabinet and staff from the Parliament of Uganda. Honorable Joel Senyonyi, MP, Leader of Opposition. Honorable Joan Alobo, MP, Member. Honorable Muwada Kunyinje, MP, Member. Honorable Susan Mugabi, MP, Member. Honorable Francis Zeke, MP, Member. Honorable Nokin Pojaro, MP, Member. And Ms. Jacqueline Ahimbi Chibwe, Member of Staff. I wish on behalf of the National Assembly of Zambia to receive our distinguished guests and warmly welcome them in our midst. I thank you. Business Assistant, Her Honor the Vice President.
Madam Speaker, I wish to inform the House that the House Business Committee met on Thursday, 4th July 2024, to determine and schedule business of the House for the period 9th to 19th July 2024. Accordingly, the committee resolved to lay before the House the following business for consideration. A. Announcements. The Honorable Speaker may make announcements to the House on any day when it is necessary to do so. B. Rulings. The Honorable Madam Speaker may render rulings if there will be any. C. Ministerial statements. Honorable Ministers may render ministerial statements if there will be any. D. Supplementary estimates number 1 of 2024. The House will consider the supplementary estimates number 1 of 2024 during the period. E. Bills. The bills listed hereunder will be considered. 1. The Lands Tribunal Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 6 of 2024, second reading, will be considered on 10th July 2024. 2. The Zambia Institute of Advanced Legal Education Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 4 of 2024, second reading, the date is yet to be determined. Number 3. The Zambia Qualifications Authority Bill, National Assembly Bill number 7 of 2024, second reading, the date yet to be determined. 4. The Human Rights Commission Bill, National Assembly Bill number 8, 2024, second reading, the date yet to be determined. Number 5. The Matrimonial Causes Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 5 of 2024, committee stage, will be considered on 9th July 2024. F. Parliamentary Committee Reports. The following committee reports will be considered during the period. Energy, Water Development and Tourism. The subject matter is the implementation of monthly fuel price reviews. This will be considered on 9th July 2024. The Committee on Agriculture, Lands and Natural Resources will, the subject matter on this will be the carbon markets and trading in Zambia, opportunities and challenges. The date is yet to be determined. The other committee is government assurances. The date is yet to be determined. Then cabinet affairs, the review of operations and management of Smart Zambia. The date yet to be determined. More reports are expected to be availed in due course. Reports on international conference. This is G. The reports on international conferences will be rendered if there will be any. H. Questions. The Honorable Ministers will respond to 16 questions for oral answer as set out hereunder during the period. The details of the questions are contained in the notices of questions circulated to all honorable members and other stakeholders. The other one is questions on standby. The questions on standby to replace questions that may not be placed on the order paper on the designated day for one reason or another are set here under. Question number 400, infrastructure. 401, infrastructure. 402, education. 403, infrastructure. 376, local government. 392, local government. 394, health. 395, justice. 396, agriculture. 394, health. 397, education. 399, home affairs. Madam Speaker, on behalf of the House Business Committee and in accordance with the Standing Order number 44 of the National Assembly of Zambia Standing Orders 2024, I have the pleasure to present the business for the next 2 weeks to this august House. I thank you, Madam.
Thank you. Urgent matters without notice. The Honorable Member for Nkana and the Honorable Member for Mwande. We'll start with the Honorable Member for Nkana.
Madam Speaker, I wish to thank you for this opportunity for me to raise this urgent matter without notice, which matter is directed to Her Honor, the Vice President. Madam Speaker, the presidency is a very important institution, one which should never be allowed to be surrounded with criminals. And as such, if there's a criminal element within the presidency, it's a duty of government to check such out. I will tender evidence before you, Madam Speaker, which evidence has become apparent that there are criminals that are serving within the presidency who were behind the abduction of our colleague, Honorable J.J. Banda. Madam Speaker, in a very clear recording, 2 permanent secretaries, the Office of the Filer, the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Information, and the Ministry of Home Affairs Permanent Secretary, are recorded having a conversation with our colleague, Honorable J.J. Banda, in which conversation they were trying to buy for the exoneration of these individuals who are serving in the presidency. It has become very clear that these individuals were in the abduction of our colleague, Honorable J.J. Banda. Is it correct that our honor would sit very quietly to allow the president's name to be dragged in the mud with individuals who should, in ordinary case, be fired instantly by being involved in such illegalities involving one of us?
Your time is up, Honorable Member.
I seek your indulgence, Madam Speaker, as to why the Vice President should not come to this House and tell the nation why, up to now, Those named individuals who are serving the president, those
Your
criminals,
time is up,
have not
Honorable
been
Member.
prosecuted up to now and are still serving the president.
You may
I
take
seek
your
your
seat.
indulgence.
You may take your seat. Honorable Member Fonkana, this matter, I believe, is before the courts or is under police investigation. Order, honorable members. And according to the rules in the standing orders, matters that are supposed to be raised should be raised within 24 hours. This matter that you've brought to the House, before the House, it happened, is it 1 or 2 months ago? So can you, Honorable Member Fonkana, find another way of bringing that issue before the House? Otherwise, it does not qualify under urgent matters without notice. The Honorable Member for Mwandi.
Thank you so very much, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to raise on an urgent matter without notice. Madam Speaker, I should mention that this is the first time since I came to this House that I've stood on such, taken this privilege. My urgent matter of public importance is raised to the Minister of Agriculture. Madam Speaker, Mwandi, like any other constituency, many of them, was hit by the drought. Therefore, there is severe hunger in the constituency. The government, through FRA, took maize, relief maize, to the constituency that is currently sitting in shades, and people are failing to buy the maize. They are still starving as I'm speaking now, because of the procedure, Madam Speaker, that is involved in buying that maize. When a person wants to buy that relief maize, they have to go and get a recommendation letter from the office of the DC, which is situated sometimes more than 100 kilometers from where the people are. They get that recommendation letter. After getting the recommendation letter, they have to go to Sesheke, because money does not have a bank, to make the deposit. Just that is sitting as submit.
Thank you. I would advise the Honorable Member for Mwandi to come up with an urgent question that can be dealt with probably on Monday or Tuesday. But also, please, can you also maybe engage the Minister of Agriculture so that maybe something can come out? But just put in an urgent question. We make progress. Her Honor, the Vice President's question time. The Honorable Member for Bangweulu.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, as I ask the question to Madam Vice President, my heart is bleeding and my soul devastated. Your Honor, the Vice President, immediately after the 2021 general elections, PEF won 60 constituencies out of 156, of which 59 were petitioned by UPND. 300 of our councillors were petitioned of President to search us so, and
You are
ask the other members to keep quiet.
honorable
Then I'll
member want to proceed under my guidance. I have no option but
Madam Speaker, given the background that I've outlined, this is the record of UPND in terms of killing democracy and remaining alone in local government and in parliament. Is this the record you are proud of as a vice president? Kindly search your soul and examine your conscience. I submit.
Her Honor the Vice President.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I would like to thank the honorable member for his question and really do, in searching my heart, sympathize with his heartbrokenness, and indeed what happened to your soul. It is, I can't remember the words you used. He gives history to what has happened since 2021, the issues of petitions. Believe you me, Honorable, history is written just like you have done. This is what it is. The issue of petitions, one, is part of democracy. Don't see it as an abnormality. In democracy, people have a right to petition when they feel that, you know, there is something that went wrong. UPND has been petitioning before. PF petitioned plenty MMD. Almost everybody who won in MMD 2011 was petitioned. Nobody cried foul. Because we agreed that that is part of democracy. So, Honorable, now you have gone, indeed you have given the history, but I think I've given the shortest answer that that is part of democracy. You will remember, at Chuamina, Galu, Kulumba Mbuzi.
Order, honorable members, order. Don't debate while seated. Your Honor, the Vice President.
Thank you, Madam. I am speaking to the Honorable and...
The honorable members, please.
Here we should
The honorable member for Kalulushi, can you please minimize on the running commentaries? They are too loud. I am talking to the honorable member for Kalulushi. Can you please minimize your commentaries? You are too loud. Her Honor, the Vice President, you may continue.
Madam Speaker, speaking to colleagues here, who did request me to do soul searching? Yes, all the time. We should be straight. We should be straight. If it is bad, it should not have been allowed right from where it started. But this is the kind of democracy we are in. If a loser sees that there was something unfair and unlawful, they'll petition. You can't make a rule that don't petition. Let us therefore put it in the law if we don't want petitions. And the Honorable, you can go to the point of this government of the UPND employing councillors so that we can replace them. This is the most unfair, statement out of what you have said. Because this government does not want by-elections. That's a fact. That's a fact. you'll have to give evidence that indeed somebody was given a job in order for them to lose their seat. Oh, very good. That is the evidence. It is your own interpretation. Your own people apply for jobs. When jobs are advertised, do you know that we actually get upset? If we had a way, no PF should be getting a job. But what can we do? Seller should apply for jobs. With yourselves, find a way. I don't want to go too far. Find a solution to keep your party strong. It has nothing to do with us. Councillors have a right to resign, they have a right to find jobs, whether they are UPND or PF or whichever, even independents. We are not enjoying that, but that's the law. So we are not looking to eliminate anybody, Honorable. Let us work together. I could say a lot of things about you, but that's okay. Thank you.
The Honorable Member for Sinazongwe.
Madam Speaker, thank you so much for allowing the people of Sinazongwe to ask how honor the Vice President a question. First, Madam Speaker, allow the people of Sinazongwe to thank the new Dawn administration for having engaged commercial farmers to grow winter maize. At least the harvests are being seen, Madam Speaker, to say indeed the new Dawn government is fighting hunger due to the drought that we experienced in 2023-2024 farming season. In the same vein, Madam Speaker, the people of Sinazongwe would like to find out from Her Honor the Vice President. Did the government engage commercial farmers to grow seed maize or millet so that we don't run out of seeds as the people of Sinazongwe are very eager and anxious to participate in the 2024-2025 farming season? The availability of seed, are the people of Sinazongwe assured that there will be no shortage due to the drought that was caused? I submit.
Thank you, Her Honor the Vice President.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I would like to thank the Honourable Member for Sinazongwe for that very important question of concern, because it concerns our own agriculture sector and therefore the lives and livelihoods of the Zambian people. Yes, thank you for commending government for engaging commercial farmers to grow winter maize because of what we are going through. And we have called upon even all of us here who have any little capacity. Don't undermine. If you grow 1 hectare, that will go a long way, because you will not consume that which will come from 1 hectare alone. You will sell to a few other individuals and they also survive. This is what we need to do. And indeed, the government is aware of what is happening. And the issue of seed, millet and maize and other seed crops, yes, Honourable, government has engaged, commercial farmers. And we will still continue to call upon others. Like I am told, Sidiko is growing seed in Chiawa to the tune of about 400 hectares. This is what your government is doing, Honourable. You can get the comfort, and we will continue to ask other people to also get involved. Thank you, Madam.
The Honourable Member for Kwacha.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity given. and good morning, our Honor, the Vice President. Your Honor, recently in Chibwe, an organization called UKA had a rally where pronouncements were made by one of the key speakers to the effect that in an unlikely event that they took over power, they would engage civil servants, employing them up to 2 million. So I would like to find out from your office, Your Honor, whether this is feasible and also the establishment of the civil service. Thank you so much, Your Honor.
Her Honor, the Vice President.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And I would like to thank the Honorable Member for Kwacha, who says an organization called UKA had a rally, Freedom of Assembly. Had a rally. That's a very good thing, and we will encourage people to gather and share ideas among themselves and with the Zambian people. That is part of democracy. I like that confirmation, the fact that a rally was held. The rallies should be held as long as it works within the law, because we have our freedom to gather, and as long as it is peaceful, and as long as all the prerequisites are made, that is wonderful. But your concern is the pronouncement, one of the pronouncements, that when, if, and you said in an unlikely event, I don't know whether it was their statement or you added the unlikely. Anyway, we can agree that in the unlikely event they took over power, they would employ 3 million, 2 million. Oh, in ZNS.
The Honorable Member, you talked about the civil servants, not ZNS, isn't it? Civil servants.
In the civil service, we can even say public service. One, you didn't say they gave us the time frame. Because if it is going to be 20 years of employing, maybe. But how long will they take to employ that? To employ the 2 million. And many of those people who are there are people who have been in government, who were promising jobs they never created. So is it tenable? I think in the student of law, Honorable Member from Kana, we will probably say these are trade paths. That is the student of law. You declared yourself a student of law. Those are called trade paths. There is nothing you can do. You can't even sue for that because it's imagination, and it depends on who accepts it. You can't even hold them accountable because it is an impossibility that they are talking about because they failed to do it when they were in government. How many teachers did they employ? Let them tell us. They are good at, everybody should be good at keeping a record. I think what we should do is they should come and tell us, in our time, we employed so many policemen. In our time, we employed so many national service. In our time, we employed so many teachers. In our time, we employed so many nurses because it is civil public service is almost one. Don't listen, it's a trade path. Thank you.
The Honorable Member from Pika.
I'm grateful, Madam Speaker. I honor the Vice President. Government is struggling with fiscal space. you are failing to undertake capital projects. There are no medicines in hospitals. We have load shedding, and we have to depend on imported power. We have high prices of fuel. Our people are suffering. Your government has proceeded to create 9 by-elections where you are going to spend 200 million kwacha. My question to you, Madam Vice President, 200 million kwacha can actually be used to import electricity and cushion on the road shedding. My question to our Honorable Vice President is politics your priority over the Zambian people? I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Her Honor the Vice President.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And I would like to thank the Honorable Member for Mpika for this very important question, because it gives me an opportunity to kind of explain what yourselves can even help me. Fiscal space. Today, you didn't know there was no fiscal space just 3 years ago. This is reality. Colleagues, don't ask me these questions. Honorable Member, for me, I stand here, yes, as Vice President, but I also have a persona. And therefore, to stand here and outright tell and truth will not help me. Will not help me. But for a member who belongs to a former ruling party to start saying you are struggling with fiscal space, yes, we are. But this is not our creation. That's the point. Minister, you removed the fiscal space. Did you find fiscal space? There was none. And you are talking of projects not being completed. We have never pronounced in this house or anywhere that from now we have stopped completing projects that are below 80%. You pronounced that. How can you forget your own things, your own pronouncements? That's why I said don't overexpose yourselves. Some of these things become, because you are reminding Zambians, this government has stood here, even with the failed fiscal space that we found, we have said we will complete the project only as we go on, and it is happening. There was nothing. This was a pronouncement that all projects that were below 80%, they were stopped. What was the reason? Maybe it was for fun. I thought it was fiscal space. Yes, we continue to struggle, but we have improved the fiscal space. That's why today you have CDF. That is why today, yeah, that's money, mana. That is, sorry, Honorable. that means money. Where is it coming from? The prudent expenditure of our resources. The goodwill of the global village that have seen how seriously we are taking people's resources. You know, even the other day somebody talked to you, were talking of imported power. That shows also physical strength. Because if you don't have, why are you going to import? If we are importing, it's contradictory. Imported. It is a paradox, if the others can put it that way. We are exporting but there is no physical space. You can't use those two things at the same time because they contradict each other. So we are importing because we don't have power. Now your concern is that the by-elections you are creating, did you say we are creating? We are creating by-elections which will be extremely costly. Honestly. Honestly, do you know by your behavior, you opposition PF, you are annoying the Zambian people? Who expelled? Did we expel people from here? Come on, this is a serious matter for me. Huh? It's a very serious matter. People who voted you, you come here and you start playing games. Today the president is this one, expelled. Tomorrow, now he has also fired. Honorable Kapianga, please understand some of us. It's very painful. We are democratic. We value you. Yes, I'll talk for 30 minutes. We value opposition, but the opposition is lost. There is an insect which eats itself. Honorable Lunga,
The Vice President, that word, is it an English word, the one you used? Kiunya?
Chibwe is a Tonga name for an insect that eats itself. Not Chilanga, this one eats itself. This is what this opposition, particularly the PF, is doing. Eating itself. And they expect us, who are competitors, to go in and say, no, no, eat yourself. You have let the Zambian people down. Yes. Come on, go and think about it. Don't take these things lightly. This is a national issue. We have said, my president, even he has pronounced that he doesn't want by-elections. Then you start firing yourselves. So you should change the law. You are letting us down. Go and become proper opposition. Stop what you are doing. Although I'm not even supposed to cancel you. Because I should be enjoying when you are eating yourselves. We are competitors. Don't look to your competitor to help you. Madam, very bad. Who is the president? Come on.
Order, honorable members.
Be serious. Be serious.
Order. We make progress. The honorable member for Feira.
We need those questions. Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Madam Vice President.
Order. You may continue, honorable member for Feira.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Madam Vice President, for expressing your personal opinions on the question that has been asked. Now, whilst in opposition, the UPND blame the PF government then that the causes of load shedding is as a result, we shouldn't give a reason being climate change. And in fact, I wish the Minister of Local Government was here. There is a video that is going around where the now Minister of Local Government used to say that, you know, this PF, they are failing to handle load shedding. The issues You know, we have Chibwe River there, 100 kilometers, we just get the water, we get into Kariba Dam. Now, today, you are in government. And by the unlikely event, you became, you formed government. Now, the question is, in view of those ideas of Chibwe River, 100 kilometers, which were being given, things which do not exist, have you consulted the Minister of Local Government to address this issue of load shedding? Instead of you creating the by-elections, because all the expulsions were nullified. The party resolved these issues, and this was communicated, but you went ahead by manipulating this house to expel. Can you tell us, do you have solutions for the load shedding? I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Her Honor, the Vice President.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I would like to thank the Honourable Member for failure. He promises his question, I don't know, back to what we were just handling, the issue of, that in fact he accuses that this is personal. No, this is UPND position. We don't want by-election. Yes, we don't want. You can allow me to answer one by one, then I'll stand here answering the same question. This is a fact, Honourable Member, for FAIRA, that this part of the House and the entire UPND government don't want by-elections. We have many issues to handle, including the drought. So we can't be there looking for by-elections. You are bringing in things that we are not privy to. If you have a conversation between yourselves and the presiding, we are not privy to. Okay? If you have issues between the court, remember the separation of powers principle. We are not part of what, when you take yourselves to court and the ruling is found, and you go to legislature, why are you bringing UPND in this matter? UPND is in the executive, so talk about the executive. What is happening there is not ours. Council, separation of powers. Even if we wanted you to come, those honorables to come back, we have no power. We don't have. The power is in your hands, it's in the judiciary and the legislature. So please don't cry, just work on that. Climate change is the real issue here. And that is what we are talking about. I will not talk about what is going around because I haven't seen it. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Nalolo.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Your Honour the Vice President, good morning. Just to remind you, the second largest opposition party in the House is intact. Your Honour the Vice President, Your Honour the Vice President, the 2024 budget, which was paged at 177 billion kwacha, had a 79% component of local revenue funding. 79% of 177 billion, which is about 140 billion, is supposed to be funded by local revenue collection. Now, for the last few months, ZRA has continued to register a huge drop in local revenue collection, and the supplementary budget that will be before this House indicates 9% revenue collection. Now, Your Honour the Vice President, my concern is that while we are undertaking debt restructuring, our debt is swelling because an additional 16 billion kwacha being borrowed will finance the supplementary budget, which increases our debt profile to $1.6 billion. How are we going to resolve this issue? I know it's a legacy issue, but do you have immediate measures to manage the swelling debt in the midst of a debt restructuring process? Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Her Honor the Vice President.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I would like to thank the Honourable Member for Nalolo, very serious concern, and indeed that's an issue that should be looked at. But the opportunity today is that we have the supplementary. I think the Minister would even handle your answer better than I would. Honestly, these are issues that have a lot to do with the technical issue. I know about restructuring, but I think the in-depth answer would come later today because we have the supplementary budget, which indicates you are talking of the local revenue dropping as by record. I am sure the factors attributing to such a scenario will probably be given as we debate this. Very serious matter, but I'm sure you will explain because you have to look at what of the expenditure, what is happening, what of the actual repayment of the loans, what is happening. All these factors must be put in, and we have an opportunity today as we debate the supplementary budget. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Kalabo Central.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the background is that MSL, Medical Stores Limited, used to supply drugs, and it was not very effective. Right now, ZAMSA is the one which is distributing drugs, and the stock levels in hospitals and clinics in Kalabo has increased. I want to get a comment from Her Honor the Vice President. Wouldn't the government desire to dismantle district medical bases and resort to supplying drugs direct to health centers instead of stocking drugs at a district base? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Her Honor the Vice President.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I would like to thank the Honourable Member for Kalabo, which is a non-urban district, like Kaputa. Here, don't go as rural, eh? we will cry. Yeah, I do understand. I think maybe your reasoning is that if ZAMSA could take directly to the health facilities, probably it would reduce on the pilfering because it is direct accountability. But I don't think this is something that can easily be done. Even just from ZAMSA, to the centers, every center may be difficult. So the district becomes a buffer. And even under this, I think accountability, which may be your concern, can still be tackled. But it is a little technical. We need to listen to health. Why is it that we do this? But remember, why do we have the districts? In every situation, I think the district has officials in all the ministries so that those are the ones that are interacting with the ground so that the information is better received and better given. But I don't know. We can find out a little more on that. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Lufuvu.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I honor the Vice President. The people of Lufuvu are geared to farm this year. Now, the problem is there is only a few number of people who are on Fiscal and Security Park. The rest, they buy fertilizer for themselves. Is there any program by the government to reduce the cost of fertilizer this year? At least to 500 or below 500 kwacha. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Her Honor the Vice President.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Honorable Madam Speaker, and I thank the Honorable Member for Lufubu, who says the people of Lufubu are geared to farm, but the hindrance is that very few people are on FISIP, and he said food security, I don't know whether it is the one under community. Honorable Member, government has also introduced, you should not forget, and we should go and sensitize our people that there is the credit window where people can go to. To suggest that the cost of fertilizer is reduced by government. You agree also? I think I used to see an advert, madam, a few years ago. I don't know whether it still exists. There was, I always said, what does it mean? A beautiful advert of selling tires here in Zambia. They were selling tires, and the advert went, checking mutengo. I'm saying, do you just wake up and say, reduce the price? I think there are factors that go to creating the commodity. Can you imagine we just go and say, hey, you reduce prices. Reduce prices. You are a businessman. Can that work? So what you are saying is, do you know that this FISIP is actually government paying for the people? So you are saying, I don't think it is something. Because this will be
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Your Honor, the Vice President, it's unfortunate that 60 years into our independence, the cost of milling meal has always been a thorn to every government from UNIP. Now, in the previous government, there were efforts that were made, an investment of close to $288 million to have solar milling plants dotted around almost every constituency to try and encourage people to mill their maize mill within the various localities. This was thought to be one of the ways that can help in reducing the cost of milling meal. I would like to find out from you whether the New Dawn government has taken a keen interest in trying to establish whether these particular solar milling plants are functioning, especially that the taxpayer right now is owing close to $288 million. And again, the New Dawn has also announced that it wants to invest 10 milling plants in almost all the provincial centers. So in terms of looking at prudency of expenditure, has government carefully looked into whether these are being used optimally before any extra money can be spent on any new investment to try and curb this cost of milling meal, which has been a problem for almost every government up to this date, Madam Speaker?
Her Honor, the Vice President.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I would like to thank the Honourable Member for Kantanshi for a very important observation and question. Yes, the cost of milling meal is still a challenge. And the Honourable, you refer to the milling plants. We see them blue all over the place. I think the intention was very good. And even now, if these were functional, you can imagine the cost of mealie meal, because people would have to buy maize rather than mealie meal, which we are encouraging even now, because the cost of maize is far much better than the cost of mealie meal. Except the very good intention, most of them, as you have seen, came without batteries. We would want to use those. It would be extremely helpful, because even sometimes the transportation of mealie meal adds to the cost of mealie meal. But these came without batteries. Yes, we will continue to see how the cost of mealie meal can be reduced, by having plants nearer to the people. And if this can work, if there is any way, I don't know whether the Minister of Medium and Small can do something to make this functional, it would be helpful. But I think here, when we find issues like this nature, Honorable, it's also important to walk over to the offices and say, this is the idea. This is the way we would move together, that there is a better idea than what we are doing now. Because indeed, this is a staple food for now, and we must find the cost. It has eluded us all the time. But this time, we thought we empower the farmer. And then more production will mean also some kind of supply and demand would be at play. I may not have heard everything you said because the Minister was also talking. I'm sorry, this is the little I understood. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Chikankata.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Your Honour, the Vice President, the tourism sector was the worst hit sector during the COVID-19, and arguably it has been hit by the load shedding. Your Honour, the Vice President, is the listening UPND government considering this industry following the directive by the President to exempt schools and hospitals in this country? I submit.
Her Honour, the Vice President.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I hope I heard although the issue was on tourism, that it was worst hit during COVID, and also now hit by load shedding. I think that's the observation. But the question is on the directive of the President as to whether load shedding should not be allowed to affect schools, health, and other institutions. And now, is it
in fact,
included?
Your Honour, the Vice President, there is a ministerial statement coming after your segment on the same by the Minister of Energy, the directive by the President, in line with what is happening on the load shedding, management of load shedding. So we can excuse our Honour, the Vice President. We wait for the ministerial statement. Maybe the last member, the Honourable Member for Solwezi East.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for remembering me that I should indeed be the last person to ask Her Honour the Vice President a question. Your Honour the Vice President, before UPND came to power, we saw a number of civil servants, employees in government and quasi-government institutions being retired in national interest on flimsy grounds that they were UPND sympathizers. And when we came into power, these people, they appealed through the cabinet for their jobs, and quite a number have not yet been heard. When are we seeing these people appealed after being dismissed in national interests on the basis of being UPND sympathizers coming back to their work? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Her Honour the Vice President.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I would like to thank the Honourable Member for Solwezi East for that important question. Especially that time is finishing, Madam. I would like to respond that to this. I will say something that we must all be aware of. that not everybody, yes, I don't know why they use the national interest. I really don't understand, because public interest and national interest were two different things. But they were fired in national interest. And like you have said, Honorable, these people did come back, and not come back to work. They did put in complaints. They wrote to the secretary, to the cabinet. And the issue cannot be a pronouncement on all of them. It was case by case. Because people will use also to say, no, they victimized me, when in fact not. Even now, some people who are committing wrong things in civil service, they are saying, no, because I'm PF. So those things must be looked at case by case. And some of them, yes, have come back. Some of them, they have upheld the decision of the former regime. So we can't say when, because it will not be done at the same time. It is being done, and it's gradual, and somebody has to show convincing reasons as to why they believed that they were fired because they were UPND. It is still going on. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We make progress. I have permitted the Honorable Minister of Energy to make a ministerial statement. The Honorable Minister of Energy.
Madam Speaker, I wish to thank you for granting me this opportunity to deliver a ministerial statement following an urgent matter without notice raised by the former Member of Parliament for Shiwangando, Honorable Stephen Kampyongo, on whether hospitals and other important institutions are being load-shedded as seen on the load shedding schedule. Madam Speaker, our utmost goal as a ministry, and indeed as government, is to protect the lives of citizens. This has been reiterated in the drought response approach. Madam Speaker, allow me once again.
The Honorable Member for Nakonde. The Minister is giving a ministerial statement. You are supposed to listen on behalf of your people so that you ask the Honorable Minister the challenges that are affecting your people regarding energy. But you are busy chatting. They are debating while seated. The Honorable Minister, you may continue.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Allow me once again to remind this august House on the low water levels in our major reservoirs, which have been necessitated by the impact of the El Nino drought, with significant effects on the energy sector, that is power generation in particular. As a result of this impact, a planned load shedding and load management was effected in March 2024 to avoid a complete shutdown of the power stations. Madam Speaker, in executing the load shedding, the presidential directive to ensure strategic institutions such as hospitals, clinics, and water utilities are not affected is being followed to the latter. Therefore, ZESPO implemented an 8 hours load shedding, which was effected on 11th March 2024. After a critical review of the ongoing load management measures, a decision on 20th May 2024 was made to extend the daily hours of load shedding from 8 hours to 12 hours to ensure that power supply is available until the end of the year and further prevent damage to the power generating machines due to insufficient water levels. Madam Speaker, I wish to inform this august House that abruption in the schedules coupled with long hours of load shedding, may be experienced due to unforeseen technical faults or thefts of installations, coupled with excessive consumption of power beyond the available allocated power. Nonetheless, in implementing the load shedding program, ZESCO was directed to consider the vital role played by strategic institutions such as health facilities, water utilities, industry and mining firms, as well as security wings. Therefore, these critical institutions and establishments have been exempted from load management by providing electricity on a 24-hour basis. The current load on exempted institutions stands at 122 megawatts, divided as follows. 1. Hospitals, 42 megawatts. 2. Water utilities, 38 megawatts. 3. Security wings, 42 megawatts. Madam Speaker, on 1st July 2024, ZESCO published a load shedding schedule for various customer categories, which included the load shedding schedule for Group G, Lusaka Water and Sewerage Company, and hospital areas for Lusaka Province. I would like to address this august House that the schedule released for Lusaka, indicating Group G, 08 hours to 20 hours of load shedding for Lusaka Water and Sewerage Company and hospital areas, is not for the hospitals or the critical institutions, but for the surrounding areas. The Lusaka Water and Sewerage Company and hospital areas are those that were initially not included in the load shedding schedule because they were previously in the line for hospitals and other critical institutions. ZESCO has now isolated the lines for these critical institutions, and thus the Lusaka Water and Sewerage Company and hospitals are the surrounding areas, are the surrounding residential areas which have now been included in the schedule. It is important to note that the intended institutions are not being load shedded, and that the ministry nor ZESCO are going against the presidential directives. I wish to indicate, Madam Speaker, that we do realize that the naming of Group G, which reads Lusaka Water and Sewerage Company and hospital areas, has brought some ambiguity, as it may portray that the water utilities and hospitals are being load shedded. With this clarification, I wish to report that ZESCO would today reclassify and be specific to the actual areas in Group G and any other groups that may create similar miscommunication. In instances where hospitals have experienced power outages, such occurrences are due to technical faults, and in some instances it's due to unscrupulous acts of theft and vandalism on some installations or excessive power usage. Further, in cases where there are power outages of the institutions in question, the utility has been directed to effectively communicate to the affected institution way in advance before carrying out maintenance works. Further, a few health institutions are technically impossible to isolate given how embedded they are in the ZESCO transmission. To caution the impact of load shedding to these institutions, the Ministry of Energy and the key stakeholders are currently implementing the Presidential Solar Initiative of installing solar solutions. Institutional assessments for this initiative are currently ongoing. Madam Speaker, allow me to also indicate that ZESCO has continued to face challenges in implementing the load shedding schedule due to the following reasons. A, shift in load patterns. The power rationing to reduce load or generation by 50%. This is often not achieved due to shift in loading patterns. Actual energy consumption during the 12 hours when power is made available to the clients exceeds 50% projected consumption due to clients maximizing usage of electricity during the 12 hours when power is available. The increased usage during the period electricity is made available leads to increase in power rationing hours in order to achieve the planned 50% energy consumption. In order to achieve the targeted load reduction, the number of power rationing hours is sometimes increased beyond the stipulated 12 hours. B, exempted loads of approximately 122 megawatts. These not participating in load management power rationing, the ones I indicated as the exempted institutions. C, delayed restoration is sometimes due to failure of controls, equipment failing at the time of restoration. Vandalized installations during the time the circuit is out on load management. And lastly, D, clients taking long to report faults due to failure to distinguish between load management and faults. Madam Speaker, the government has noted the need for a lasting solution that fosters the provision of affordable and sustainable energy services for key institutions such as health facilities, industries, businesses, and households. In this regard, the measures put in place include short-term, medium-term, and long-term, which I alluded to in my previous ministerial statement dated 13th June 2024. Madam Speaker, the measures being implemented are meant to sustain ZESCO's operations and attract investments for the utility. In the broader sense, these measures are aimed at boosting the electricity subsector and in turn improve service delivery to the customers. As I end, Madam Speaker, I wish to repeat and extend my invitation to the members of Parliament to visit Itezi Power Station and Lake Kariba to appreciate the water crisis and the challenges we are facing to meet the electricity demand for the entire country. The invitation, Madam Speaker, will be actualized in the next 1 week so that together we can understand and disseminate the much needed information to the public. I submit.
Thank you. Honorable members are now free to ask questions on points of clarification on the ministerial statement given by the Honorable Minister of Energy. The Honorable Member for Kwacha.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity once again. And also let me thank the Minister for that ministerial statement that has been presented on the floor of the House. Honorable Minister, some of us as members of Parliament, we do appreciate and understand that this load shedding or power deficit in the country is not something that has been done deliberately by the government, but it's because of the effects of the drought. But when we are faced, Honorable Minister, with desperate situations, it calls for desperate measures, as it were. We need to start looking at our neighbors to import power. So I would like to find out from you, Honorable Minister, as to when these measures will commence to import power from our neighboring countries that have excess, like Mozambique and Tanzania, so that this problem, especially in Kwacha, is not only in the area where the question came from, but also Kwacha is extremely affected, where most of our clinics are being load-shedded. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Before the Minister comes in, the Honorable Member for Nkana, your point of order is on who?
Madam Speaker, I should have raised this matter contemporaneously, but because of the events, the Vice President's question time and the ministerial statement, I couldn't raise it. Parliament, Madam
who?
Speaker.
Honorable Member for Nkana, it's on who?
May I state the matter, Madam Speaker?
No, because I want to determine whether it's admissible or not.
Madam Speaker, this matter is raised on the Minister of Home Affairs. Madam Speaker, this Parliament is well ably secured by the security wing of the National Assembly. And there are no threats at Parliament that would warrant a horde of police officers in riot gear, vehicles all over these premises. Madam Speaker, there is a horde of police officers all around this premise. These premises are secured by our men under the security wing. Is the Minister of Home Affairs in order, Madam Speaker, to bring those security officers or those police officers who are seemingly threatening the peace here at Parliament? I seek your indulgence, Madam Speaker.
What is the standing order that has been breached?
Madam Speaker, the practice of Parliament dictates that we are secured by our own security men. So what is in breach is a practice of the House.
Honorable Member, that point of order is admissible. If you've got a concern, just bring it to my attention in another way so that it can be dealt with. The Honorable Minister of Energy, you can respond to the question raised by the Honorable Member for Kwacha.
Yeah. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Honorable for Kwacha. Madam Speaker, I did come to this House and indicate that currently we're importing electricity from Mozambique and that there is no interconnector between Zambia and Tanzania, so we cannot import any power from that country. I submit.
The Honorable Member for Kaumbwe.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister of Energy, you have outlined the measures that government is going to take in order not to load shed the consumers that are in the G category. This G category of hospitals or health centers, also higher institutions of learning like University of Zambia, Everin Horn College or something like this. I would like to know, to find out as to what is the total demand, what is the total power demand of institutions that you are targeting to not to load shed. Thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Energy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the total demand at hand, the one I know, is for Lusaka province, which stands about 300 megawatts. I'm yet to get the total demand for all government institutions and buildings in the country. I can come back to the House and give the accurate figure on that one. I submit.
The Honorable Member for Lufubu.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, we know and we've seen you are doing everything possible. And we are sure that by the time you'll be done, this problem will be done forever. Now, Honorable Minister, Lufubu is one of the constituencies that you are trying to connect to the national grid. And they are concerned, this road shedding, how is it affecting the new connections? And if not, are we going to be connected this year? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Energy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I think I'll need to check on the status of connections in Lufubu, and I'll get back to this House.
The Honorable Member for Sinazongwe.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker, and I would like to thank the Minister for a well-articulated statement, especially where he indicated that public institutions that are sharing maybe transformer with the community, they will very soon be on a solar system as a backup. We can't wait for that, Honorable Minister. Mamba General Hospital has really been affected, so we really need that backup as soon as possible. My question to the Honorable Minister, Madam Speaker, is whether we should expect for a worse situation than the 12 hours we are seeing going forward. Are we anticipating a worse hourly system, maybe 18 hours, 24 hours, even 2 days without electricity, so that people get prepared to the foreseen in the near future? I submit, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Energy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, we can only get better from where we are. We have put measures in place to ensure that within the next 3-4 months, additional power will be imported again from Mozambique, as well as introduction of expensive power using diesel generators. I submit.
The Honorable Member for Nakonde.
Madam Speaker, thank you very much. Madam Speaker, this load shedding is a result of lack of leadership. Because in Dubai, where there is no rains, there is no load shedding. And we are wondering why the minister can't go and learn something from Dubai, where there is no rains and there is no load shedding. And the president emphasized that this load shedding in the previous regime was a result of lack of leadership. Madam Speaker, as I'm speaking now, in Nakonde, bodies in the mortuaries are being decomposed. And the ZESCO in Nakonde are failing to work according to the direction, the directive that the president gave. I want to find out from the minister. In Nakonde, ZESCO is working against the directive that the president gave. What are you going to do with the management of Nakonde for them to continue load shedding the hospitals? Madam Speaker, I submit.
The Honorable Minister of Energy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, as far as I know, lack of leadership is when you default on payments. The previous regime defaulted in paying the Kapawa ship that was anchored off Mozambique. The previous regime defaulted on the construction on the Kafue River Gorge. So we are trying to sort out this problem in an orderly manner. Madam Speaker, I've already stated in my statement that hospitals are exempt from load shedding. I'll need to verify what the Honourable Member of Parliament for Nakonde has stated to confirm that actually bodies are rotting in Nakonde. I submit.
The Honourable Member for Kabwata.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honourable Minister, that's the reason why I feel people should really understand that climate change is here to stay. Today we are crying because of the El Niño effect, the drought, but you go to other countries like Brazil, they are equally crying because the power station have been washed away because of the El Niño now. It's either you receive more rains or you receive less rainfall, and that's why what we've done in Kawata now, we are planning actually to put solar panels on all health posts together with police posts. But my substantive question is, I wanted to find out, because in a situation where there's a crisis, you always find people finding opportunities or either wanting to abuse those opportunities. We have a situation, these 12 hours load shedding hours,
criminals have taken advantages by stealing transformers and cables. To them, it's an opportunity. So what measures have you put up in place so that these long hours of load shedding are not actually affecting the installations of ZESCO? Thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Energy.
Madam Speaker, I think a short answer to that is that that is a security issue and it's of concern, and I actually indicated in my statement that there's a lot of vandalism. It is now, we're encouraging the security agencies to work extra hard. And even the neighborhood, the people are getting affected by these vandals. We would like them to report, such acts to the police as soon as possible. Submit.
The Honorable Member for Chiengi. Not ready. The Honorable Member for Chifubu will come back to you when you're ready.
Madam Speaker, for allow voice of. But I'm here. I'm here, Madam.
It seems your network is poor, Honorable Member. Will come back to you when you are ready. The Honorable Member for Chifubu.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving the opportunity to the people of Chifubu. Honorable Minister of Energy, I have a concern for Chifubu Level 1 Hospital. Following the commissioning of this hospital by His Excellency the President in the last 2 months, the hospital has not gone to full capacity operation as a result of it being load-shedded. When we did a follow-up, we were told that they needed to isolate a line that would be going to the hospital. However, we pleaded with ZESCO to say the hospital was constructed with a very powerful generator and a large fuel storage capacity, to which ZESCO had accepted that they will supplement us with diesel in order to make the hospital operation. But this has not been done, which has now forced all the bodies that were in the mortuary to be transferred to Ndola Teaching Hospital and also close all the wards. And we are just running on outpatient basis, despite the generator being available at the hospital. What is your ministry doing in the interim to help us with the diesel to run the generator so that the hospital can go back to its full operation? Thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Energy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you for that question. This is quite a serious matter, Madam Speaker. If ZESCO did promise that they will supplement the diesel, I will make a follow-up to ensure that this is done as like yesterday. I submit.
Okay. The Honorable Member for Mwembeshi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I've heard the Minister trying to give solutions on what he's going to be doing in terms of this problem we are facing. Minister, I don't know how much money you are spending in trying to import power so that you actually stabilize the power in Zambia. And also looking at, say, making just a canal to feed water into Kafue River. We agree that let us suffer. Can I just finish? We agree that we are going to suffer the road shedding so that we make a canal which cannot take a long time just to connect some of the rivers into Kafue River so that we don't share the water in Zambia. Don't you look into this idea? Because all these solutions you are trying to make, they're just temporal. Because whatever you are going to do, you still import next year. Have you also done a thorough look into that's what we can just do, a canal into Kafue River? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Energy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. That is quite a highly technical question, and I can assure the Honourable Member from Mbeshi that plans are in hand to transfer water from the Luapula River into the Kafue. I'm working hand in hand with my colleague, engineer Nzovu here. We should be able to come to the house and give an update on how far we've gone with this project. These are long-term projects, but we are trying to mitigate the problems that we are facing now. Submit.
The Honorable Member for Chiengi. The Honorable Member for Sioma.
Madam Speaker, can you hear me? I'm trying to find my batteries.
Are you
Can
ready,
hear
the
me,
Honorable Member for Chiengi?
Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Please ask your question.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the minister was saying that he's yet to get the report if bodies are decomposing in mortuaries.
The Honorable Member, you are not seen on video. We can't see you.
I'm charging my tablet. Let me do this.
Okay. Just
here.
Prepare yourself and we'll pick you
I'm
with
here. I was saying that the bodies are not decomposing. We are having the same challenge in Chiengi.
What I said was, we will check and verify that the information given by the Honorable Member of Parliament for Nakonde is accurate. Same applies to the Honorable Member of Parliament for Chiengi. We will verify such information and come back and give an accurate position as submitted.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Sioma.
Thank you so very much, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity given to ask a follow-up question to the Minister. Honorable Minister, we are so grateful for the interventions that you put in to ensure that the economy keeps running through importation of power and also the thermal power that you want to introduce. Those are short-term measures. However, in the long term, Minister, we have got a project in Sioma, which is the Western Power Project. This is the project, if it was implemented, would at least add about 180 megawatts to the national grid. The water levels in Sioma, as we speak now, isn't that bad. And I'm sure that if this hydroelectric station was to be constructed now, it will significantly improve and contribute to the national power deficit that we are experiencing now. And the areas in Western Province experiencing. This work
Speaker, I can only answer the latter part of the submission. We are in constant meetings, if I may put it that way, with Western Power, and I can safely inform the MP that this project will soon come to financial close, and once that is done, they need to go into construction. let me hasten to mention that hydropower projects take 3 to 4 years before they can come on stream. So these are part of the long-term solutions that we are working on. I can assure you that we have got so much interest in this project and we want to see it actualized. I think construction could start in the next year or the other year. I submit.
The Honorable Member for Pemba.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, I understand that the load shedding is as a result of poor rains received during the 2023-2024 season. Honorable Minister, I'm also very confident that this country will never come back to this situation because of your leadership, because of the intervention measures that you are putting in place. Honorable Minister, there are youths, as we speak right now, planning to demonstrate against load shedding. Of course, we suspect they are sponsored. The demonstration is coming on 10th of this month. What is your message to the youths of this country, to the youths who are organizing this demonstration, that the government of this nation is not responsible for this load shedding? To some extent, Honorable Minister, the previous government should have planned in advance to sort out this problem. Your comment and advice, Honorable Minister, to the youths of this nation. Thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Energy.
Madam Speaker, thank you for that important question, Honorable Member of Parliament for Pemba. Madam Speaker, I would like to put it on record that ZESCO has already engaged this group and they've asked them to take a tour of all the power stations, hydropower stations that are affected as a result of the drought. So we anticipate that they'll take up the challenge so that they can go and appreciate the depth of the problem. I submit.
The Honorable Member for Milenge.
Thank you, Minister, for your statements. The situation in Milenge, Minister, is, I think we are getting desperate. The only hospital which is there is load shedded, close to, only receives power about an hour in a day. This has led to desperation. And you have spoken, in your statement, you have spoken to so many solutions. And I got one where you said you are going to give assistance to the hospitals that are difficult to separate, isolate. Now, your solution sounded open-ended. Do you have timelines attached to these solutions that your Milenge seems to be, would benefit? I submit, Madam.
The Honorable Minister of Energy.
Madam Speaker, these are very important institutions, and as such, there are no timelines. The timelines that we've got is now. As ZESCO will look into this report so that we can verify, because, Madam Speaker, there is this tendency of exaggeration on the situations that are not even existing. I submit.
As the time is 10:40 hours, I suspend business for 20 minutes.
Good morning. Thank you so much for still being with us on Parliament Television. Business of the House has been suspended for a 20-minute health break, and so we expect business to resume at 11 hours. And the House is considering the ministerial statement that has been delivered by the Minister of Energy, Honorable Peter Kapala, on the alleged inclusion of health facilities on the load management schedule. And so members of Parliament are seeking points of clarification from the Minister. So when business resumes at 11 hours, we expect the House to continue considering this ministerial statement.
And earlier in the day, when business resumed, we did see
Madam Speaker, making two announcements. And the first announcement, she did quaint the House with the presence in the Speaker's gallery of members of Parliament, a shadow cabinet and staff from the Parliament of Uganda.
After making the announcement, Her Honor the Vice President did present the business statement for the period 9th to 19th July 2024.
Still to come on today's order paper, we do have the Minister of a motion of supply that the House do resolve into Committee of Supply to consider 24. Witness as President to members their constituencies and on policy. We need to take a short break, Matimba, and when we come back, we'll interest you to what is expected to be considered on the floor of the House today. We now go for a 20 minutes break.
You can now advertise on Parliament Television and Parliament Radio. For more information, call 0977 854102 or 0977 536487. Parliament Television, bringing Parliament closer to you.
My name is Christopher Chibwe, born 52 years ago, married with 5 kids, 3 girls, 2 boys. I obtained my primary education from Chibwe, and my secondary education I did it from Serenje. I'm actually a grade 12, and with me, I actually have a diploma in agriculture science. Right now, pursuing a degree of arts in public administration with the University of Zambia during my 4th year. I've worked for the government as district commissioner from the year 2012 up to 2021. Throughout, and I ended up working for the government as Deputy Permanent Secretary for Luapula Province. It's from that point that I found myself in the political arena. My constituency is actually Mukushi North constituency, and it has 16 wards with 3 chiefdoms, which is Shaibila, China, and Mulungwe. So out of the 16 wards, we have only 2 female councillors. The rest are actually all male councillors. It is a remote, it is a rural constituency. Predominantly, the livelihood of our people there is actually farming, and partially a bit of in the areas like peri-urban, where we have actually a bit of trading and the like, but predominantly it's farming. Yeah, so that is how our people actually survive there and earn their ends meet. Too many challenges as usual. You not have it easy, and it is out of that my heart is actually looking forward to seeing
that the way I found the constituency, at some point I should leave it better. We have challenges of water. A rural constituency, definitely you have challenges in water. Our people out there in the villages depend on the streams, and these streams, they do dry up, especially with the climate change, where we are no longer receiving the usual rainfall. So we have these challenges of our people out there who are actually looking forward to seeing, when we come in these offices, giving them and indeed saving them better than before. So it is my wish and desire that we actually improve the water system of our people, and not only that, we also have the feeder roads of our constituencies. Our constituency is actually very bad. We're looking forward to someday where we are going to have better roads. I know it's a bit tricky because right now the council doesn't have the capacity to do the feeder roads at once. They only have a grader, and a grader, when you look at that piece of equipment, cannot do a better feeder road. So we're looking forward to purchasing more machinery so that we can have a complete set of earth-moving machine to do our roads, I think, in a better way than the way we are approaching them now. We're also looking forward, I think, to ensure that our youths get an opportunity and indeed a fair share from the constituency funds in terms of empowerment. But my disappointment, on the contrary, is I think on our youths who don't see what they can get out of the skills package. Yeah, that package actually is very good for each and every youth because it's a skill that should be developed, and it is out of that skill where we expect our youths to survive. And if they shun to come on board and be part of the people that are benefiting from that skills package, then we have we have difficulties and challenges to put, I think, our youths in the right position. For my humble appeal to our youths is that let them come on board and ensure that they develop their skills for them to survive and indeed maintain their families. My developmental agenda for real as an MP, well, from my pocket, I can't manage. I really depend on the arms of government to help, and for sure, CDF, and with that increment, if it can come correctly and indeed in its full amount, definitely to help us, because we have to improve, like I've said, we have to improve the literacy levels of our people, and that can only be done if we construct better schools, and indeed we have to ensure that the service delivery in terms of healthy services, they are also delivered, and that can only be attained if we have health facilities which are better. We also have to look into the other amenities that our people are supposed to benefit. For sure, our people, being a farming community, are supposed to ensure to have the benefit of what is agriculture, means of agriculture is actually offering on the plate. So we are looking forward to improving the water reticulation in the district, and indeed out there with the boreholes being sunk. We're also looking at some areas where we can put, I think, the piped waters, and we're also looking at other areas where we can only maybe provide those windwood boreholes, whereby our farming community, the commercial farmers, are very much willing to help our people out there, except that our people should not shun some of the meetings that are called by government, some of the developmental meetings that we call upon, so that we can actually sensitize one another and ensure that we develop our constituency together. I'm their servant, and I'm there to save them and not to be saved, and I will only save them better if they give me the support. As much as I know that Definitely their expectation is high, but I'll only perform better if they support me, and they should not look at me with the political lenses. Let them look at me as their servant who is there to save anyone despite the political belonging. Mabambuya kokumushi mwetu kwasu kumitota kuine kantu palifyo nsefu mwachitile yakasuba elo mwambikilepo ngomu bomfi wenu nebo panonomba nkola ya kulimwa kwe bati nakumibombela fye kofu mwanchetekele nakumibombela elo nshaka bombe poneka nakubomba na moya amwantungililo kwe bati bale bati uwishiko eulango umweni akanshila akakwendamo ndangeni apa kunyanta amwandanga apa kunyanta nande nakubomba bwino kabiri iseni kuli nebo nga mwaisa kuli nebo mwanje ba makatasho mukopitamo nande nakusenda yali makatasho nokutwala kuntanshi ukoko banga twafu mboneni ko mu chalo chesu tulipelwe impense yako kwatenda la maisha kutyubwingi kupitila muri CDF iseni kulinda la maisha utuko vipela ukupitila mu office lyanji ishosho tumutunga mipela kupitila mu maklabu kupitila na muri fyonsefe munga fwaya kwe bati ubuteko bumwafirishe nebo palwandi neka nshinga konsha pokoko ukusuntula inchingo yesu nomba tuwabombela pamo kubika poneshina kankomba kubika pona makansela bonse na bonse chabi abali mu buteko abwabako bona kwe bati baleta ifefe makatasho mukopitamo mupepi namwe fwe tungabomba chapamo kabiri tungabomba ukwakubula okufirwa nomba mwandekela na kufirwa bale bati chisendo mwetu kwasu abo mfwe muchele okufina abantu baumintile elo kabiri impundu abo mfoko shikopona untwekele munshi ya mpundu mwemwe mwikele omo munshi ya mpundu mwishibile na makatasho mukopitamo boneni ko kwe bati ayo makatasho amwaleta elo chapa motunga chitashani tunga yabombelapo okutoto kwine kantu kuli mwe bonse mwe bakutikako kuli ukukulabila kwanje.
My name is Munda Darius. I'm the Member of Parliament for Siavonga constituency. I came to Parliament in 2016 and I'm doing my second term at Parliament. And I reside in Siavonga. Siavonga is my home. Of course, I was born somewhere else. I was born in Choma, but I've lived in Siavonga for the past 37 years now. And I'm a resident. I got married there. And all my children and my investment is in Siavonga. I went to school. Of course, I started my school in Choma, but I ended up completing my school in Siavonga, at Siavonga Primary School. And I went to Chibwe Secondary School in 1988. I came out in 1992. And since then, I've been in Siavonga. Of course, I did tertiary education. I've got a diploma in public admin from NIPA. I also did metal fabrication from Kafue, and then I'm currently doing my last year in law. That is with Open University. I'm doing a degree in law with Open University, and that's basically who I am. I've been a businessman. I think from the time I left school, secondary school, I've just been doing business, a lot of businesses, including customs clearing agency, and I'm running a small organization in terms of clearing. Other than that, I'm also doing other things in terms of business. My constituency is situated, of course, at the banks of the Lake Kariba, and I'm housing the biggest power station in southern province, which is Kariba North Bank Power Station. We've got the Great Wall of Kariba Dam, and my constituency is both rural and urban, and 3/4 of my constituency actually is the rural part of it. And I've got one ward in the urban side, urban part of my constituency. So my constituency is a hilly one. We don't do a lot of, there is no much agriculture, but we are doing agriculture in certain places. But the biggest industry is the fishing industry that is done in Siavonga, and a lot of people are engaged in this industry. They are mostly in the fishing industry. Of course, we've got other things like the hotels, lodges, and we have quite a number of people as well that are employed in this hospitality industry, in hotels and lodges. So basically, that is what Siavonga is. The development agenda for Siavonga, you know, when I came in as an MP in 2016, there are three major things that I was looking at. I was looking at education infrastructure, I was looking at health infrastructure, and we have managed to put up a few classroom blocks around the constituency. We have managed to put up clinics. We have managed to put up mother shelters. And the other biggest thing in Siavonga is to do with water. And of course, we have sunk quite a number of bores around, and then we are also putting up some dams. So the major things that we are facing in Siavonga is something to do with the road network. The road network has been very bad, but we are doing everything we can using our equipment at the council, and it's my hope that by the end of next year we would have done all the roads in my constituency. And once we open up the roads, because mostly the roads that we need in Siavonga are the roads that are leading us to the fishing areas in most cases. We have agriculture areas where we can do a bit of agriculture, but mostly it's the fishing areas. And people have to be able to go to these, to access these places where they're able to buy fresh fish, where they're able to dry their fish, and they're able to get to the market easily. So that's what we are looking at in terms of roads. We are earmarked for a number of bores that we want to drill, because the water has been a challenge and it has been a problem. And with God, with the coming of the increased CDF, we hope to do a lot of things, and we want to do, like the President directed, that actually in every health institution and the primary schools or secondary schools, we should have water reticulation system in place by drilling up and equipping.
Good morning. You're still watching Parliament television. We expect business of the House to resume at 11 hours. And at the time, Madam First Deputy Speaker was suspending business for a 20-minute health break at 10:40 hours. The Honorable Minister of Energy, Honorable Peter Kapala, had just finished responding to a question that Milenge Member of Parliament, Mr. Chonde, had raised. This is on the ministerial statement the Minister of Energy has delivered on the alleged inclusion of health facilities on the load management schedule. And so when business resumes, we expect members of Parliament to continue seeking points of clarification from the Minister.
And still to come, the Minister of Finance and National Planning is expected to move a motion of supply that the House do resolve into Committee of Supply to consider supplementary estimates, number 1 of 2024. We all know that 2 weeks ago, the Minister of Finance did present the supplementary estimates of expenditure, number 1 of 2024, and amount totaling to 41.9 billion was proposed. And for now, we'll cross over to the floor of the House for the resumption of business. Matimba and I will be on hand to do live commentaries. Remember, at the sign language interpretation table today, we do have Jason Manda and Chola Kauma.
Mr. Speaker.
You're still watching Parliament television. Bells are ringing. The quorum hasn't yet been formed. It is a requirement that 1/3 of members of Parliament must be present in the House for any business to transact. So once the quorum is formed, we expect business of the House to resume.
And earlier on when business resumed, Madam First Deputy Speaker did permit Her Honor the Vice President to indicate business that will be considered from the 9th of July to the 19th of July 2024. And let's quickly, Matimba, look at some of the business that is expected to be considered between that period. We do have bills that are coming. The Lands Tribunal Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 6 of 2024, which is expected to come at second reading. This one will come on the 10th of July 2024.
We also have the Zambia Institute of Advanced Legal Education Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 4 of 2024, which is expected also to come at second reading stage, and the date of consideration is yet to be determined.
We also have another bill that is coming at second stage reading, the Zambia Qualifications Authority, National Assembly Bill number 7 of 2024, and this one is also yet to be determined, the day that will be on the order paper.
The other one is the Human Rights Commission Bill, National Assembly Bill number 8 of 2024, which was also coming at second reading stage, and date of consideration is also yet to be determined.
If you are with us yesterday and you are following the live proceedings of Parliamentary, yesterday we did witness the Matrimonial Causes Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 5 of 2024, coming up at second reading stage. And members of Parliament did debate, and committee stage will be considered on the 9th of July 2024, according to the business indication that Her Honor presented earlier in the day.
We also have parliamentary committee reports that are expected to be considered in the period 9th to 19th July. We have the Committee on Energy, Water Development and Tourism. This will be on the subject matter, the implementation of monthly fuel price reviews, and this one is expected to be considered on 9th July 2024.
The other parliamentary committee report is from the Agriculture, Lands and Natural Resources. This one will look at the carbon markets and trading in Zambia, opportunities and challenges. This one is yet to be considered. We also have government assurances, and this one as well is yet to be determined when it will be considered.
We also have cabinet affairs, and this is on the subject matter on the review of operation and management of Smart Zambia, and the date is yet to be determined.
So basically that's a snippet of what is expected to be considered on the floor of the House from the period of 9th to 19th July 2024. Do remember that the Minister of Finance is expected to move a motion that the House do resolve into Committee of Supply to consider supplementary estimates number 1 of 2024. And when business was suspended, Matimba, the House was considering a ministerial statement.
And the Minister of Energy had just finished responding to a question that was posed by Milengi Member of Parliament, Mr. Gustav Chonde. This is on the alleged inclusion of health facilities on the load management schedule. And so when business resumes, we expect members of Parliament to continue seeking.
When business was suspended, the House was considering the ministerial statement presented by the Honourable Minister of Energy, and the Honourable Minister had just finished responding to a follow-up question by the Honourable Member for Milengi. Next question, the Honourable Member for Chilanga.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Honourable Minister, in Chilanga, this load shedding has actually created serious problems. I say so because all our health facilities are still being load shedded. The security wings also in the district are still being load shedded. If you go to the Apollo L85 military camp, the hospital there, including the camp itself, is still being load shedded. The ZAF, Mount St. Eugenia, a military base, which also has a hospital, is still being load shedded. Tubalange Mini Hospital, Chilanga the Mini Hospital, Nakachenje Mini Hospital, including the industries, Honourable Minister, in Chilanga, are still being load shedded. So I just wanted to find out when ZESCO, Honourable Minister, can move into Chilanga and conduct an assessment, and if possible, consider some of these facilities to put them off the load shedding schedule. Thank you very much.
The Honourable Minister of Energy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I think this is now turning to be like a generic answer. This problem seems to be everywhere, and I've indicated to the House that we'll get to ZESCO to verify all these reports that we are receiving. I submit.
The Honourable Member for Bahati.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity. Mr. Speaker, let me state that most hospitals in the country are not on what is known as dedicated lines. And it's so difficult and expensive to only isolate the hospital and create a dedicated line for a hospital, especially in our rural districts. Mr. Speaker, in Mansa, we're experiencing a load shedding of up to 20 hours every day. Power is just restored for about 2 hours. So, my question to the Minister is that, have you sat down with the Ministry of Health and discuss on how we can sort out this issue? One example I can give is that we have 3 million per constituency for an ambulance. Can we vary that money and use it for off-grid power solution or for an alternative power solution? Because this is a crisis, Mr. Speaker. We have ambulances that are limping. So I want to find out if the ministry can use the 3 million per constituency, the Ministry of Energy together with the Ministry of Health, we use that 3 million per constituency for ambulances and divert it to purchase off-grid power solutions. Mr. Speaker, the future of power generation in this country is in Luapula province. And Minister, people of Luapula are waiting for the contractor to get to site at the Kalungwishi and many other sites. Mr. Speaker, I thank you so much.
The Honourable Minister of Energy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I appreciate the fact that the Honourable Member of Parliament for Bahati is an engineer, and he understands that most of the hospitals that are not, or most of the hospitals are not on dedicated lines. And Mr. Speaker, I would support this idea of each constituency to use the CDF money of 3 million. I should be able to engage with my counterpart, local government and Ministry of Health, so that we can come to an understanding and implement. Since the money is already there, it shouldn't be much of a problem. I submit.
The Honourable Member for Mitete.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Minister, the problem at hand is countrywide. But how low are the water levels at Kariba Dam, so that the nation will appreciate the problem? How low are the water levels? And it's so good that you take the youth to go and appreciate as well. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Minister of Energy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Honourable Member of Parliament for Mitete. The figure that I've got for water levels in Kariba is standing about 24% of usable water to go up to the end of the year. Mr. Speaker, that is the main reason why we've invited 30 members of Parliament to accompany us to Kariba and Iteziteji so that they can appreciate and understand the depth of this problem. I submit.
The Honourable Member from Mbabala.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker, and thank you so much, Honourable Minister, for that important statement. Honourable Minister, in a quest for you to continue providing power to us, I must first of all confess that I've seen the situation improve, and that's thanks to your hard-working, continued hard-working, that we're improving the situation and sorting this problem. This is it's not a man-made problem. It's a problem which has come as a result of drought. And we have people who don't seem to understand or see the drought in this country. How else should we explain this matter to these people who don't seem to see the drought as the cause of this load shedding? Because all of us have experienced the hunger, the drought, and the like, and in town is affecting electricity. But some people keep arguing like nickel pumps, Honorable Minister. Now, Honorable Minister, what are you doing to ensure that constituencies can generate
Honorable Member from Mbabala, I think the Minister has heard your question.
I just wanted to finish it.
No, you are taking too much time, Honorable Member.
All right. I just wanted to finish
Thank you. May you take your seat?
Thank you.
I think the Minister has gotten hold of your question, and I've added the extra 6 minutes. May the Honorable Minister respond.
Mr. Speaker, I think he ended up complimenting the efforts this government is doing, and I thank him so much. Thank you so much, Honorable Musanje.
The Honorable Member for Rufanyama.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Minister, we thank you for the effort which you are trying to mitigate, load shedding. My question, Honorable Minister, we have wind energy or power. What is the government doing to introduce wind energy, since it has proved to be a very, very good energy in other countries like China and America? And the Paris Agreement also supports the clean environment to use wind energy. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Energy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you so much, Honorable Sachisumo. I did mention this project in this August House, that Masaiti, there's a project for wind, and Katete. How soon these will be actualized, I haven't got the actual dates, but these are projects that are in the pipeline, and they will eventually be actualized as submitted.
The Honorable Member for Selenge.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, Honorable Minister, for the answers that you are giving us. I think just a concern over vandalism.
The Honorable Member, there is a point of order.
Mr. Speaker, I rise on a point of order against the Honorable Member of Parliament for Mbabala. Ninkopump means silly or stupid. That is the word that the Honorable Member of Mbabala has used on the floor. In short, he's saying some people who are speaking on the issue of climate change are stupid. That is what he's saying. Is he in order, Mr. Speaker, to use such a provocative and unparliamentary word, and he goes scot-free? I seek your indulgence.
Thank you. The Honorable Member, though I didn't hear him, but maybe if it is so, you have to desist from using such words on the floor. You know which words are parliamentary, and let's avoid provoking each other. Let's ensure that we are all honorable in our conduct and as we speak. So let's proceed. The Honorable Member for Narolo. Sorry, Serenge.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Minister, you talked of vandalism as one of the items or maybe issues that probably makes prolonged the restoration of power. Now, when we look backwards, even before load shedding, vandalism has been there. And during load shedding, actually, it has just amplified. If you got some plans, probably these people dealing in scrap metals to remove, accessories like cables, switch gears, so that, those people are deterred from involving in this vandalism. Thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Energy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Honorable Kandafula. Mr. Speaker, this issue of vandalism is becoming a big problem to this country. There's a lot of vandalism. I don't know what has heightened the escalation of vandalism on the ZESCO infrastructure. We'll be engaging the Ministry of Justice to see how we can come up with very stringent and punitive measures so that we can deter the would-be vandals. I submit.
The Honorable Member for Nalolo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and Honorable Minister of Energy. Thank you for your ministerial statement. Honorable Minister, in 2017, the previous government signed an intergovernmental agreement with the government of Russia for the construction of a $500 million nuclear plant in Chibwe. Honorable Minister, what is the status of that agreement? I thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Energy.
Mr. Speaker, as the Member of Parliament for Naro has indicated, this project was going to cost government $500 million. And this was just the first phase of the two-phase approach to this project. The first phase was purely educational. Mr. Speaker, this is a very, very expensive project. Currently, government cannot commit any funds to this project until such a time that funds are available. That's when we can relook at this, because we've got a lot of competing needs that needs to be attended to. I submit.
The Honorable Member for Ron.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Minister, in your statement you mentioned that some health institutions are being affected because their grid is connected to maybe residential areas. I was citing my constituents, Honorable Minister Ron, where I have 3 mini hospitals that are sitting in the residential areas, and power actually affects them once the residential areas are load-shedded. But you mentioned that you are working on a program to ensure that you procure the solar panels for these institutions. How soon is that, Honorable Minister? Because there is a big challenge where in an emergency people are using now phones to assist nurses or clinical officers to administer cannulas on the sick. How soon is that project going to take off, Honorable Minister? I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Energy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Honorable Chair, for that question. Let me take this opportunity to inform the House that this project is currently at technical level and scoping, and we anticipate that this project to kick off in the 3rd quarter of this year. I submit.
The Honorable Member for Magori.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Minister, I want to find out from you, my farmers in Magoya, about 18 of them, they had grown winter wheat, I think up to about 180 hectares. And unfortunately, they are just given about 6 hours of the electricity. But unfortunately, the situation is that the center pivot cannot be able to go around. It takes almost up to about 9 days. Is there any mechanism that you can help them because their crop is dying? Thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Energy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Honorable Malambo, for that question. Mr. Speaker, ZESCO has been given instructions to ensure that farmers who are using center pivots are given power through in the night so that they can do the irrigation in the night and then maybe load shedded during the daytime. I submit.
Notice of motion. The Honorable Minister of Finance and National Planning.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I beg to move that the House do now resolve into Committee of Supply to consider supplementary estimates of expenditure number 1 of 2024. Mr. Speaker, I'm a bearer of a message from His Excellency the President of the Republic of
Order,
Zambia.
Honorable Minister. That we haven't come to that yet. We will. Let me pause for the question and I will invite you.
Oh, okay.
The question is that the House now do resolve into Committee of Supply to consider supplementary estimates of expenditure number 1 of 2024. Any debate? The Honorable Minister of Finance and National Planning.
Once again, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I am a bearer of a message from His Excellency the President of the Republic of Zambia, recommending a favorable consideration of the motion I now lay on the table.
Any further debate? The Chairperson of the Expanded Planning and Budget Committee, the Honorable Member for Momba.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, thank you for according me an opportunity to contribute to the debate on the floor of the House and present the highlights contained in the report of the Expanded Planning and Budgeting Committee on its consideration of the supplementary estimates of expenditure number 1, 2024. Mr. Speaker, the House will recall that in December 2023, Parliament enacted the Appropriation Act number 29 of 2023, authorizing expenditure not exceeding 177.9 billion aimed at unlocking Zambia's economic potential. However, following the declaration of the drought Zambia has experienced as a national disaster and as an emergency, it became necessary for the government to provide humanitarian support, especially to the most vulnerable people. In this regard, Mr. Speaker, the Minister of Finance and National Planning proposed 41.9 billion supplementary estimates, which he presented to the National Assembly for approval on 21st June 2024. Pursuant to Standing Order number 173 of the National Assembly of Zambia, Standing Orders 2024, the supplementary estimates were subsequently referred to the Expanded Planning and Budgeting Committee for scrutiny. Mr. Speaker, in addition to being a response to the drought, the 41.9 billion supplementary estimates is earmarked for servicing external debt, dismantling of fuel arrears, and recapitalizing selected state-owned enterprises. Notably, Mr. Speaker, the supplementary estimates came against the backdrop of the downward revision of the gross domestic product, GDP growth, rate from 4.7% to 2.3%, and the energy prices. Mr. Speaker, let me state from the outset that the committee supports the supplementary estimates of expenditure number 1 of 2024, and these observations and recommendations are documented in the committee's report. I'm confident that, Mr. Speaker, my fellow honorable members have had occasion to peruse the report. In this regard, allow me to comment only on some of the issues contained in the report. Mr. Speaker, the committee applauds the government for its intervention to enhance and upgrade social protection for the most vulnerable people in society through cash for work, keeping girls in school, and the feeding program. In this regard, the committee urges the government to ensure that these programs are administered fairly and effectively in order to benefit those most in need, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the committee observes that the government has proposed interventions aimed at the water and sanitation sector, such as supplying water treatment chemicals to some water utility companies, drilling of boreholes, and maintaining dams. The committee commends the government and urges it to ensure that these measures are expeditiously implemented in order to achieve the intended objectives. Mr. Speaker, the committee notes that in an effort to build a resilient economy, an amount of 14.6 billion, or 34.8%, has been dedicated to address external debt service obligations, whilst 15.2 billion, or 36.3%, will be dedicated to the dismantling of fuel arrears. The committee, Mr. Speaker, commends the government for committing to dismantling the debt and clearing the arrears on fuel through cheaper concession loans. The committee, Mr. Speaker, is confident that this will free up the resources for investment in other need areas of the economy. Mr. Speaker, with regards to the source of funds for the supplementary estimates, the committee observes that 16.5 billion, representing 39.5%, will be realized from domestic and external financing, 17.2 billion from anticipated savings by cutting costs on workshops, local and international travels, as well as other general operations. Further, 4.3 billion is support from the cooperating partners, and 3.8 billion is additional revenues realized in the year, including dividends from Bank of Zambia, as well as money forfeited to the state from asset seizures. Mr. Speaker, while appreciating the government's effort in trying to realize 17.2 billion from savings, the committee is concerned that actualizing this source of financing may be a challenge due to high inflation and the exchange rate volatility. However, the committee urges the government to put alternative measures in place as a plan B should the original plan to realize the savings fail. The committee further recommends that the government should draw lessons from the experiences of the COVID-19 pandemic and the impact of climate change to build an economy that can sustain growth while enhancing resilience against external shocks. Mr. Speaker, the committee notes the government's commitment to recapitalize the Invest Trust Bank and Mopani copper mines. This is commendable, as it will not only retain jobs, but also result in increased mining output, which will increase the government's revenue base. Mr. Speaker, as the government endeavors to put in place measures to address the drought, the committee is concerned at the low budget releases for 2024. These low releases have been attributed to constrained domestic financing, primarily due to tight money market liquidity conditions and the reduced economic activities caused by the energy crisis, which negatively impacted the revenue collection. Mr. Speaker, the committee urges the government to address the status quo, which, if not addressed, could impact negatively the response to the drought. In conclusion, Mr. Speaker, I wish to thank you and the Office of the Clerk for the support rendered throughout the committee's deliberations. I further wish to thank all the stakeholders, Mr. Speaker, who provided both oral and written submission to the committee. Mr. Speaker, I beg to move.
Any further debate? Any further debate? The minister will only come back after the committee has presented its report. The Honorable Member for Mongo Central.
I'm supposed to debate, right? Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and the people of Mongo Central would like to place it on record that we are supporting the supplementary budget. And we know that this supplementary budget has been necessitated because of basically three factors: the drought that has hit our country, the debt, which mostly was acquired by the failed government of the Patriotic Front, which left the UPND government to inherit such a huge debt, and also being a responsible government, the UPND government has put in a social protection measures
in order to protect our people from the impact of the drought and the impact of the debt that has been left by the PF government. So we therefore, as people of Mongu Central, support this supplementary budget. It's very, very important that as we run our governments, we must be prudent and be disciplined in managing our national resources, including our budgets. That's why we are left with this huge debt, because PF acquired so much debt such that they couldn't even start paying back the loans that they acquired, paying back the debt that they acquired from other people. Hence, we are in this situation. Hence, we needed to do this, the debt restructuring. Our colleagues on the other side, they have failed to manage this debt restructuring. And we want to thank the Minister of Finance and the new Dawn government and the cabinet ministers who have been very helpful in ensuring that the debt in this that we have acquired is contained and is managed. We thank the supplementary budget because it's going to deal with the few areas. We are very much aware that the previous government could not pay back, whilst they were giving subsidies, but they could not even pay over the money that government was getting from the fuel suppliers. That's why we need this supplementary budget, because part of it is going to dismantle the fuel arrears, money owed to the suppliers of fuel that the previous government acquired. But even are crying for subsidy, they should know that the subsidy that was being provided for was not being paid by the previous government. A lot of people are being owed a lot of money there, and the government was merely surviving on debt. You can't survive on debt. You need to be profitable. You need to be financial prudent so that you can survive on money that you are able to save. Honorable Minister, we also take cognizance of the fact that your supplementary budget has put in social protection measures to protect the vulnerable. We know that the drought has affected our people very much. In Mongu Central, we could not even have Kuomboka the other year. Even this year, it was a makeshift Kuomboka because of the effect of drought. There's no water. Our farmers will have very difficulty in getting the required yield in order to sustain mitigated from our girl children also be able to attend school because of the social protection measure that you have put in place. Our people will be able to do cash for work because there has been some money now, in addition to food for work, there's also cash for work. I think that's what a responsible government does, to look at what is that we can do in order to help our people. So, Honorable Minister, the people of Mongu Central are very happy with the supplementary budget, and this shows that this government is responsible. This government is caring. This government is a people's government that takes care of the people's needs, the people's issues. And we are very grateful that at this time we have a leader, we have a president that cares for his people. We have a government that cares for its people. We have members of parliament that cares for its people. Even those who are, even people of Kasenengo, I'm sure they will be very happy with this budget. With those few words, we want to support the supplementary budget. I thank you, Deputy Madam Speaker.
Order, thank you. The 2024 standing orders number 171-4 instructs that when the House resolves in two committees, it's only one debater per political party. So I'm calling upon the Honourable Member for Nalolo to avoid being in breach of the standing orders.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And indeed, the standing orders are recognizing other parties in the House. I would like to thank the chairperson of the Expanded Budget Committee for this, for his report, and indeed, Honorable Minister of Finance, for bringing this supplementary budget to the House. Mr. Speaker, one of the concerns that the committee has raised is that the Ministry of Finance abrogated Section 44(3) of the Planning and Budgeting Act because they did not disclose the implications of output targets. So, Honorable Minister of Finance, would like you also to explain the implications of moving money from other key sectors. What is the economic impact? What are the administrative impacts in terms of these adjustments? One of the concerns I have, Honorable Minister, is that 40% of the supplementary budget is debt. That is one of the major concerns I have, and which I raised with Her Honor, the Vice President. 10 billion external debt, 6 billion local debt, so 16 billion debt. So we are raising our debt portfolio as a country by $1.6 billion. Now, local revenue is only accounting for 9%. So for me, Mr. Speaker, the government must interrogate the loss of revenue through the Financial Intelligence Center. You can see the reports that we're losing a lot of revenue through tax evasion. I think it's high time, Honorable Minister of Finance, that we interrogate our taxation policy with the mines. And Honorable, we are of the drastic effects of but social cash transfer, social security pack, FISIP. These are programs. The figures of and technology. We need has been on FISIP. Is also getting social cash transfer. Is also getting social security pack. There is no such system. So these well-intended programs, social programs, well-intended by government, are a subject of abuse. And this is where we're losing funds. I would also want to state through you that it is also commendable to add resources to KGS, keeping girls in school. The increase in the girl children dropout attributes this additional, and also food for work. But my issue on food for work is that the Minister of Finance must do a vulnerability assessment of where this food for work should happen. It's just not everywhere. So there's need to have a technical approach in understanding that as we supplement this budget, we are increasing the debt portfolio, and we have on record increased tax evasion. We need to strengthen our tax policies. We need to have a situation where over 70% of the budget must be funded with local resources. Otherwise, Mr. Speaker, even the next government will be doing debt restructuring because the debt portfolio is increasing. With these few remarks, I would like to support your estimates to supplement the budget. I thank you very much.
Any further debate? Her Honor the Vice President, adjournment.
Mr. Speaker,
the question is that the House now do adjourn. Any debate, any objection? The question is agreed to. The House? Is now adjourned.
Speaker's gallery of honorable members of the shadow cabinet and staff from the Parliament of Uganda, a delegation of 7 that was led by leader of opposition, Honorable Joel Senyonyi MP. And so, Madam First Deputy Speaker, on behalf of the National Assembly of Zambia, warmly welcomed the distinguished guests to the National Assembly. After that announcement, Her Honor the Vice President presented the business statement for the period 9th to 19th July 2024, and we expect announcements if there will be any rulings, if there will be any ministerial statements, and supplementary estimates number 1 of 2024. We expect the House to consider the supplementary estimates number 1 of 2024 during the period 9th to 19th July 2024. We expect the House to consider bills, and the first bill that is expected to be considered is the Lands Tribunal Amendment Bill. Reading stage 2020. Consider the Zambia Qualifications Authority Bill. The which is also coming at second reading stage, and the date of consideration of this particular bill is also yet to be determined. We also expect the House to consider the Matrimonial Causes Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 5 of 2024, which is coming at committee stage, and this bill is expected to be considered on 9th July 2024. We also have committee reports that are expected to be considered during the period 9th to 19th July. We expect the House to consider Committee on Energy, Water Development and Tourism. This is on the subject matter, the implementation of monthly fuel price reviews. This one is expected to be considered on 9th July 2024. We also expect the House to consider Committee on Agriculture, Lands and Natural Resources, and this is on the carbon markets and trading in Zambia, opportunities and challenges. This one, the date of consideration is also yet to be determined. The House is also expected to consider Committee on Government Assurances, and the date of consideration of this committee report is expected to be determined. And we also expect the last committee report that the House is expected to consider is the Committee on Cabinet Affairs. This is on the review of operation and management of Smart Zambia, and also date of consideration of this committee report is yet to be determined. And so this is just a brief of the business statement that is expected to be considered on the floor for the period 9th to 19th July 2024. After that, there was, Her Honor the Vice President's question time, a segment of 45 minutes, where members of Parliament are given a chance to ask questions to Her Honor the Vice President. After that, we saw the Minister of Energy, Honorable Peter Kapala, delivering a statement on the alleged inclusion of health facilities on the load management schedule, and we saw members of Parliament seeking points of clarification from the Minister. After that, the Minister of Finance and National Planning moved a motion of supply that the House do now resolve into Committee of Supply to consider Supplementary Estimates number 1 of 2024. And so this is a business that has been considered on the floor of the House today, Friday, 5th July 2024. From all of us here, it's goodbye. Keep watching Parliament Television and have a lovely weekend.